First, when should we send our children to school? We're talking about age here, 4 or 5.
Yeah, now, a new government plans say that parents of children who are born in the summer should have the right to delay their child's education for a year so that they're then not the youngest.
But some people are saying this is leading to damage in the long term, or at least could it, or should parents be given the right to decide? Joining us now, Mum Natalie Brown, who was very happy to send her 4-year-old to summer, who was born in the summer, off to school, and beside her Naomi Campbell, who says that no child is the same and parents should have the right to decide whether they want to delay their child's schooling or not. Naomi, what was your big fear? Tell me the age. Your lad's called Seb.
Yeah.
He's now 5, but when he was 4, what happened?
So Sebastian turned 4 on the 29th of August last year, which is when our local education authority was saying we needed to get him starting in reception. Because he had just turned 4 and because I know Seb and
literally just turned 4.
Literally just
birthday
turned 4.
Date was
29th of August.
Right, and then September he was going to be in school.
Yeah, so had he been born 3 days later, it wouldn't have been a problem. He'd have been starting school this September now.
And actually, he should have been born later, shouldn't he? His due date was actually October. So
he was due October the 25th, so he did come along 2 months early. But, I mean, in a way, that's not even part of the problem, I suppose. Had he even just been summer born that late in the summer, I think I'd still have felt the same, but he just was not ready.
In what way do you not think he was ready?
Emotionally, he wasn't ready to cope with the demands of school, albeit reception being an introductory year with play and, you know, sort of building up to the more structured schooling. He couldn't cope in large groups of children.
Had he gone to nursery?
He was with a childminder, and it was quite a small group.
He was still a baby, really.
Still a baby.
Yeah, but here's what I don't understand. Why are the rules so hard and fast? Do you think anybody with a modicum of sense would say, look, listen, Mrs. Campbell, yeah, see, you've got a point here. I mean, he should have been born in October, he came in August. Do you think he's ready? OK. What is the problem if they were to delay him for a year? I don't really get why that's such an issue.
I think parents know their children.
That's the thing. Parents know their children, and every child is different. And I think that's really, really important to remember. And the fact that a parent knows their child best. Now, it's actually he is allowed to start school at compulsory school age and reception. The difference being is that a lot of local education authorities are playing this big postcode lottery, and where one will say, yeah, that's no problem, another one is saying no.
Well, before we talk to Natalie about her story with Bluebell, I just want to say, you know, whereas maybe if that had been me and Ruth, I think we probably would have said, OK, right, well, if it has to be, we're not too happy, it has to be, and you send the child off to school. You were having none of this at great personal expense to yourself. What did you do?
So when we were told, after battling for about 18 months and building a massive case that was then turned down, evidence of specialists, the head teacher of the school we were trying to send him to supporting us.
So you said, right, we've had enough now, you took matters into your own hands.
We weren't going to send him straight into year 1, so we've actually relocated 100 miles away. We moved 2 weeks ago now to start him now, this September, at a school that can provide him with a reception education at compulsory school age.
And he's 5 now.
And he's just turned 5.
OK, Natalie, on the other hand, your gorgeous little Bluebell, who's 4 on the 15th of August, has gone off to school. How's she doing?
She's loving it. She started on Monday. We've been building up to it all year. She's been ready for school for a long time. I've got a blog and I've written about this quite a lot, the things that we've done to help prepare her. And, I mean, it's only the end of the first week. This is her first full day at school today.
So how are you feeling about it?
Do you know, I was really, really emotional in the run-up to it because this time a month ago she was 3. So she really is among the youngest in her class. But, do you know, I don't know what I was worried about.
When you say you've spent time preparing her, how have you done that?
Well, we've been talking about it at home. We found out some of the recipes that the school has for lunch and we've made them at home ourselves. The school were really good at inviting us in. She went to a teddy bears picnic in July with all of the children from her new class, so she met them. She could picture the environment, see where she was going to be. And also, some of the mums of older children have already had birthdays, and they'd already organised birthday parties and invited the whole class.
So Naomi, listening to that, do you think Sebastian, had you have done any of those, I'm not blaming you, just saying, you know, listening to that, do you think Sebastian could have been helped if you'd have tried to do some of those things to help him get to school by the age?
I mean, the thing is, I've been following Sebastian's lead. I haven't not done any of those things, and we regularly will meet up with other children for play dates and do activities like baking and things that the childminder puts in place that I then sort of reciprocate at home and do the same kind of thing. But emotionally, had I tried to put Sebastian in last year, it would have been horrendous, I think, for all involved. I mean...
Which brings us then to the government and the schools minister, Nick Gibb, and he's saying now admission rules are far too rigid and they're going to have to be changed. I presume that's something that neither of the two of you would object to.
I wouldn't object to it.
No.
I think that's a good idea. Every parent knows their child, and it's of course true that some children aren't emotionally ready. I do think that nurseries, preschools do a really good job of preparing the children, regardless of where their birthday falls in the year, in those terms in the run-up to school. But, of course, it depends on the child.
Yeah. Naomi, to anyone who would say, and Ruth's getting comments that are coming in now all the time, but for anybody who would say to you, and I'm just putting this to you, right? And they would say you're a bit protective about this, or they use this awful term, mollycoddle, right? What was you rolling your eyes there with that one? I mean, I think we all mollycoddle our children. I mean, I think to some degree.
Sure.
What would you say? Oh, you're just an overprotective mum. You don't want to let him go.
I would say, to be honest, from my point of view, that's a bit of a ridiculous comment. It would have been incredibly convenient for me if Seb had been ready last year. My goodness, you know, I could have worked a lot more and it would have been fantastic, but I wasn't prepared to put my needs before his needs. And if by mollycoddling you mean I'm spoon-feeding him breakfast every morning, no, I don't do that. He's very independent, he's very bright, and that's fantastic.
Yeah,
but
he's still
if
too young.
By mollycoddling you mean I'm putting my child's best interest...
Well, look, listen, let's get these...